Hey everyone, and welcome to Two of Cups Tarot Talk, the podcast where we deep dive into the archetypes, symbols, and energies of the tarot. Sometimes seriously, sometimes while sipping tea made from weeds we found on a nature walk. I'm Pisces Moon.
And I'm Lavender Moon, psychic channeler of the unseen, and your friendly reminder not to leap off cliffs unless your spirit guides are double confirming it's a good idea.
And today, we're talking about the Fool. I know that we spoke about the Fool's journey on our previous episode, but this time we're focusing specifically on the Fool card. The Fool is the first card of the Major Arcana. 0, the egg, the cosmic inhale before the journey begins.
The spiritual toddler about to touch the stove of life.
Exactly. Let's set the scene. In the classic Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the Fool stands on the edge of a cliff, looking up at the sky. He's holding a small knapsack over his shoulder, symbolizing the knowledge and karmic lessons of past lives, even if he's not yet aware of them.
Which is such a beautiful metaphor. You might feel brand new, but your soul has its own carry-on luggage.
He's holding a white rose, which is purity and innocence. His clothes are decorated with symbols of the 4 elements, showing that he already has everything that he needs, even if he doesn't realize it. And then there's the little white dog.
Faithful companion? Spirit guide? That one friend who yells, YOLO, before you make a questionable life decision?
Yes to all of the above. The dog symbolizes loyalty, instinct, and that intuitive nudge that both protects and challenges. The mountains in the distance remind us that challenges will come, but they're part of the journey.
And let's talk about that number, 0. It's not a beginning or an end, it's a portal. The Fool doesn't have a fixed point. He is pure potential, untouched energy, like a candle before it's lit.
That's beautifully said. So when this card shows up in a reading, context really matters. The Fool isn't always jump in head first. Sometimes it's pause and feel into the leap. Let's go category by category.
Yes, let's start with love, because it's the one we all pull cards about too much. When the Fool appears in a love reading, it often signals new beginnings, an unexpected romance, or the invitation to open your heart fully, especially if you've been guarding it. It might point to a relationship that's unconventional, exciting, and filled with a sense of play.
Like meeting someone at a Renaissance fair and deciding to move into a tiny house together after 2 dates.
Exactly that vibe. Now, in shadow or reverse position, the Fool could indicate emotional immaturity, avoidance of commitment, or the refusal to acknowledge red flags. It's that tumble off the cliff energy without looking down first.
Oof. Okay, hit us with the money interpretation.
The Fool in financial readings can represent a new opportunity, like a job offer, a freelance project, or even a totally different money mindset. But it's a caution too. Risk is part of it. There's potential for windfalls, but also for financial faceplants if you leap without research.
So the energy is start the Etsy shop, but not sell your car to fund it tomorrow.
Exactly. For family dynamics, the Fool often shows someone stepping out of familiar roles, like becoming a parent, leaving home, or breaking generational cycles. It's that brave moment of saying, I love you, but I need to do this my way.
Oh wow, that one really hits.
Right? It's powerful. In career readings, the Fool is green light energy, especially if you've been feeling stuck. Think new job, launching a passion project, or totally redefining what work means for you. But again, have a vision, not just a vibe.
You're so good at this. You're giving Fool, but make it wise.
Thank you. I try to honor the Fool's optimism while channeling my inner hermit to ask, did you pack snacks?
Love it.
Now let's shift into the earthy side of things. Pisces, you brewed up some magical herbs for this energy. Walk us through them.
I did. This is my Fool's Journey blend. It includes lemon balm for calming anxious energy, Tulsi, also known as holy basil, for adaptive support, emotional balance, chamomile for soothing nerves and helping you trust the process, and gotu kola for mental clarity, and spearmint to uplift and energize.
That's such a bright, hopeful blend. It tastes like you've got this.
Exactly. And for the emotional heart opening, violet leaf, one of my favorites, adds softness, while calendula brings that sunshiny protection and joy, which is great for those moments when the Fool is cracking your heart wide open in the best way.
And for tincture fans?
So for fans of tinctures, you use the exact same herbs. You fill a jar 1/3 of the way with dry herbs, or 3/4 for fresh, and then you top it off with vodka or brandy. If you let it infuse for 4 to 6 weeks, shaking it daily, especially in like the first week, and then strain it and label it. And when you're straining, make sure that you put it through like either a sieve and then smash it with a spoon to get all that liquid out, or put it through cheesecloth and squeeze, because the plant matter when you're making these tinctures holds in a lot of moisture and you want to get every last drop. And if you want to make it taste a little better, you can always top it off with a little bit of vegetable glycerite. So I call mine Leap Elixir because, you know, you're taking that leap with the full energy.
And would you use that for big transitions?
Absolutely. So anytime you're about to step into something unknown, a new job, a creative project, a spiritual path, use it to help ground your courage. 1 dropper under the tongue or in a splash of water.
And it smells like trust. I love that. Now let's talk spell work. You wrote a Fool-inspired spell too, right?
I did. It's called the Leap of Trust. You'll need a white candle, a feather, and a small stone. The feather represents faith and lightness, and the stone represents grounding. Light the candle, hold both in your hands, and say, I open my heart to roads unknown, with trust as seed and soul as sown. Each step I take, both wild and true, I leap with faith, the path renews.
That's gorgeous. It gives me goosebumps.
It's simple and yet powerful. It's perfect for new moons, Sabbats, or any time you're on the brink of a change.
So friends, if you're hearing this and you're standing at the edge of your own metaphorical cliff, maybe this is your nudge. The Fool says, you don't need the whole map, just a sturdy pair of boots and the courage to say yes.
We'll post the full spell, tea and tincture recipes, and our Fool-inspired grimoire page on our Instagram at 2_of_cups_tarot_talk.
And if you're brewing your own leap elixir or lighting candles for your Fool's Journey, tag us. We want to cheer you on as you jump into the unknown. Looking for clarity, guidance, or a little cosmic confirmation? Book a psychic tarot reading with Lavender Moon. Intuitive, experienced, and ready to help you tap into the wisdom of the cards. Whether you're navigating a life crossroads, curious about love, or just want to check in with the universe, Lavender Moon's readings are personalized, insightful, and heart-centered. And if the energy is right, you may be able to receive messages from your loved ones in spirit. Available for virtual sessions, phone readings, and live events throughout Arizona. Visit lavendermoonpsychicllc.com to schedule your session today and step into your next chapter with a little guidance from the stars. Lavender Moon Psychic, bringing light to your path with love and insight. Your future is waiting. Let's read it.
So let's just do some riffing back and forth on some Fool moments in pop culture.
Well, I just watched a movie on Netflix. It's called The Nanas. If you've watched it, you know what I'm talking about. It's got Vince Vaughn in it. He plays a man who decided that he needs to start an Italian restaurant after his mom passed away, and he wanted to honor his mom and his grandmother. And so he got a bunch of different Italian grandmothers together to cook in this restaurant. And just when he was about to give up, because nobody was coming to this restaurant, he wasn't making any money, no one was eating this wonderful food that these women were preparing, one of the reviewers that he went to ask to review his restaurant, who had turned him down because he only does restaurants in New York and this restaurant was in Staten Island, this reviewer sent one of his colleagues. She wrote a glowing review of his restaurant and it blew up, and he's been very successful ever since. It's been like 15 years now, and it was amazing. And this movie completely resonated with me, and it's a wonderful Fool energy.
Nice. Wow. Not to state the obvious, but I think that we need to at least give a nod to them, even if it's not really our thing. But Frodo Baggins, Lord of the Rings, Luke Skywalker, those are two that a lot of people recognize as the Fool's Journey, the hero's journey. Not my particular genre, but feel like we had to at least give them a nod.
Definitely give them an honorable mention.
For sure. So one of my favorites from when my girls were little is Tangled. Rapunzel is literally standing in a tower, leaving going on her fool's journey, taking a complete leap of faith, leaving everything that she knows. And she's got her little lizard sidekick.
Yeah.
And befriends criminal along the way and sings about it. It's such a cute movie, but that's one of my favorite Fool.
Well, now when my daughter was growing up, she loved Moana. We watched it over and over and over. But Moana takes a leap of faith and goes out looking to... No, she goes looking for Maui, that's right, the demigod. So he could give the heart of Te back to Te so that their island wouldn't suffer anymore, wouldn't be fallow anymore. So she went out on this journey out on the open sea. She brought her chicken, if you know, hey, and went on this journey and found Maui, and they did it together and they succeeded. And she didn't know where she was going. She didn't know who she was going to meet, if Maui was going to kill her. She didn't know. She just did it and was successful.
Yeah. How about Harry Potter? That's another one that's kind of a big one that everybody knows about. But, you know, Harry always knew like that there was something more for him out there, and that things weren't necessarily as they seemed. And when he got his letter from Hogwarts, he didn't even say like, you know, this is crazy. How could this be true? Like, he left his old life behind, and his old life was pretty awful, living under the stairs, having family that treated him awfully. And I mean, he literally jumped into it. And throughout the series, whenever something came up, I mean, whether it was foolhardy or not, like, he just jumped in without thinking, which is major Fool energy. Fortunately, it, you know, works out for him usually, but yeah, lots of dangerous quests and Fool energy there.
And again, let's bring up Buffy the Vampire Slayer for all of our Buffy nerds out there. She learned that she was the Slayer. Sure, it took a lot of Fool energy to go after every bad guy, every boss that she had to fight in Sunnydale, and to close up the Hellmouth and all that stuff. And even after Hellmouth was closed, she still had to keep fighting more and more bosses and bad guys as they came up. But she never stopped and said, okay, why are we doing this? She said, no, this is what we do. So how do we get it done?
Exactly. And then, you know, literary, we've got Alice in Wonderland. She literally followed a rabbit down a hole. And I mean, that's major Fool energy. She makes some questionable decisions along the way. Like, who drinks a bottle that says drink me in a weird place? Right. She does it. And yet she still manages to find her way back.
Another one I just thought of, Anne of Green Gables. She was always going after what she wanted. She didn't think twice about it. She just took that leap of faith and did it. So if you read those books, you know what I'm talking about.
And one of my favorites, and I even convinced, you know, my oldest girl child, who doesn't like anything made before a certain time because of TV quality, Eurotrip. Scotty, definitely a fool, and he gives up everything. His friend was the internship, but his plans for his future to get on a plane with his goofy sidekick to go across the country to find this girl that he's been writing to, Mika, and he and his ragtag group of friends go on this fool's journey all over Europe, having fun along the way. I mean, one of my favorite parts is when he accidentally enters a bar because, well, he doesn't accidentally enter the bar, but he goes to the bar thinking like, okay, we can drink because we're 18 and it's legal here. And it's the Manchester United hooligans bar, and he knows that they're in danger, and he immediately thinks, we're the Manchester United fan club from the United States, and they ask him to sing the theme song. Total Fool energy, goes into like My Baby Takes the Morning Train, changes the lyrics to it, going to see the Manchester United Football Club, the greatest club in the whole world, and befriends these hooligans who later help him out in the movie. But to me, that's like total Fool energy.
Another one that just came to mind for those of us who grew up in the 80s, we watched The Never-Ending Story. And Bastien, he stole this book from this bookshop because he was hiding from the mean kids that were bullying him. And he stole this book, even though the booksellers told him not to read that book. It was not for him. But he took the book. He went to school. Instead of going to school all day, he was in the attic reading this book and became part of the story. That's total fool energy, because I don't think I would have even taken the book because the guy said children shouldn't read it. I would have been like, okay, fine. I don't need to read that book. But no, Bastien took it and he read it and he saved it from the nothing because he gave the Empress a new name. So there's another good fool energy story.
There are a lot of good ones in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what about The Last Unicorn?
Yeah.
Some fool energy. Some Labyrinth.
I was just thinking Labyrinth, but I can't remember the name of the girl.
Sarah.
She had to go find her little brother. And she went through the kingdom of the goblins and fought the Goblin King. What girl would take on a grown man in his 40s to get your child little brother back?
Wow. He appeared in his 40s. Who knows how old he really was?
That's
and
true.
He had magic.
That's true.
And that bulge.
Oh, that's true.
My first crush is a little girl, the Goblin King. My segue into loving the anti-hero. What about the Princess Bride?
Well, Westley did end up going on a pirate ship and coming back to find his true love, Princess Buttercup. Yeah, that's total full energy. And he fought Andre the Giant. I mean, he outsmarted Vicini and fought Indigo.
Indubitably.
Yes.
Hello. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. He actually was on a fool's journey too.
Yes, he was.
On a quest to avenge his father and find the six-fingered man.
And he found him and killed him.
Spoiler alert.
Did he? No, he didn't kill him. He just sliced his face. Oh, anyways. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
The Goonies.
Oh, that's right. Going after the gold, the treasure, One-Eye Willie.
One-Eyed Willie. Man, we're really aging ourselves.
I know, and just the fact that I can remember this stuff is amazing.
I can't tell you what I ate for dinner yesterday, but I can tell you, the entire plot for Labyrinth.
Right?
Quotes included.
I think everything that we grew up watching in the 80s had a full energy to it.
Well, I also kind of feel like a lot of stuff in the 80s was based on the fool's journey or the hero's journey, which is kind of, the hero's journey. You kind of start off as the fool, heavily influenced by Joseph Campbell. And I mean, even that's where George Lucas got his inspiration for Star Wars, was the hero's journey. And so, I mean, Luke Skywalker goes on the hero's, the fool's journey, the hero's journey.
I was actually just thinking of the Care Bears movie where they had to fight the villain. I don't even remember all the details of this movie. It's been so long because I don't watch that stuff anymore because my kids aren't into the cartoons like that anymore. They'd rather watch Gravity Falls now. So,
Right. Well, but I mean, even stuff like that, like Firefly.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of also a pattern I'm seeing here is a lot of this is like fantasy type movies where they have that hero's journey, which is kind of parallel with the fool's journey, which, that was a kind of a popular theme in the 80s. I mean, even if you look at cartoons like Voltron and He-Man and Shire,
right.
They had to kind of take that leap and accept things that were presented to them and change their way of life and go on this journey. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and remember, you are never truly starting from scratch.
You've got magic in your knapsack. Blessed be.